right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call our city council meeting for September 27th, 2018 to order. I ask that you please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance. God, we thank you for this day, the blessings that we have. As we think about all the blessings that we have, let's remember those who are struggling right now because of the recent storm. We ask that you give them strength, courage, and wisdom. We ask that you give them protective guidance as they move forward with the flooding that's coming. We ask that you bless all of our people. Help us to always realize that at the end of the day, we can only do so much without the strength that you give us and the strength of cooperation working together. We ask all these things in thy precious name. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask Mr. Brown if he would go down while he's on the end, take care of the two proclamations for us tonight. Well, my left end, the one closest to the podium. Sorry, Mr. Brown, too. Young man. I'm going to start calling them old and young Browns.
Thank you, sir, Mayor. I guess the first proclamation we have is from Trident Literacy. And on that proclamation, Ms. Clark, could you please read the proclamation?
Please come up, darling.
Sorry, Ms. Allen.
Whereas the need for a highly literate citizenry in North Charleston increases as our community moves toward an increasing technological future, and whereas more than 15,000 adults, or 23% of the adults in North Charleston, do not have a high school credential and experience literacy issues that impact severely on their lives and families, their ability to work productively, and their full participation as citizens and residents of our city and state. And whereas Trident Literacy Association provides individualized instruction to more than 750 adults in the city of North Charleston annually to help them improve their skills, earn their GED and career readiness credential, learn English as a second language, enter continuing education, take advantage of apprentice opportunities, enter higher education, the military, or the job market. And whereas the City of North Charleston deems it important to recognize and highlight the economic and societal importance of literacy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, R. Keith Summey, Mayor of the City of North Charleston, do hereby proclaim September 2018 as Literacy Month and September 23rd through the 29th, 2018 as National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week in North Charleston, South Carolina, and urge my fellow citizens to learn more about the importance of literacy and to become involved with literacy in our community.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Eileen Pennick is here with us. Over the years, I guess council has been grateful with her, with Trident Literacy, and I think this is only 1 year we haven't been a great supporter of her. Somehow I think if we move forward, we got to figure out how we can be a continued support of Trident Literacy moving forward. I want to say thank you for the work you've done previously and going on now. I know moving forward within our community's education and literacy is one of the strong points going to move our kids on in our community. And I thank you for the work you did. I'm sure you would love to have something to address council in.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's good to see you up and around and looking so wonderful. I want to thank the council. I think this is 14 years that I'm coming here to recognize National Literacy Week, and thank you for your support, and thank you for the opportunity to keep talking about it. My biggest dream is that someday I won't have to be up here talking about the need for adult education, and even after I retire, that nobody else will either. The importance of focusing on adult literacy cannot be overstated. Aside from the impact on our economy in terms of the cost of social supports and not being prepared for the job market, think of the impact on children and what this means for future generations. A study funded by the National Institutes of Health confirmed that a mother's reading skill is the strongest determinant of her children's future academic success, outweighing other factors such as neighborhood and family income. Children whose parents have low literacy levels have a 72% chance of being at the lowest reading levels, compared to 25% of children in the lowest reading level overall. And children with parents who hold professional jobs hear more than 33 million words by the time they begin school, compared with 10 million words for children from disadvantaged groups. By and large, the children of these adults start school at a disadvantage because they have not been read to, talked to enough, sung to, played with, and have not developed the school readiness skills they need to succeed. Without serious intervention, they are on a path to drop out, just like their parents. Think about it. If you could only read as well as a third grader, what would it be like to apply for a job? If you couldn't speak English, what would you say to your child's teacher on back-to-school night? If you couldn't do basic math, what would it be like to pay your bills each month? Well, as you know, Trident Literacy is changing the lives of more than 700 adults who attend our classes in North Charleston. Some of our students did not gain the school readiness skills as children because their parents had low literacy skills. Some of them simply made bad choices. Some faced illness, bullying, or abandonment. All of them need a second chance. I'd like to give you a few examples. One of them is Amanda. Amanda dropped out of school when she was 16. She got in with the wrong crowd and moved out of her home thinking she knew what being an adult was all about. She came to Trident Literacy at age 33 after marrying, having 2 children, divorcing, remarrying, gaining a stepdaughter, and having another child. Only 4 people knew that she didn't graduate from high school. It took a lot of courage for her to admit that to her family and do something about it. She came to Trident Literacy, she earned her GED, and now she's enrolled in Trident Technical College, earning her next degree and qualifying for a good job. Another one is Justin. Justin's mom died when he was in elementary school, and soon after, his father walked out, leaving Justin and his 3 older brothers on their own. 2 of the brothers landed in jail, and at 17, so did Justin. Now, at 21, Justin is turning his life around. He earned his GED, and he plans to attend Trident Tech. He wants to have a family someday, and he wants his children to know how important education is. Each of our students has a story like this that would break your heart. They want to show themselves and their families that they can do it. They want a better life, and they want to set an example for their children. Trident Literacy is one of the top performing adult education programs in the state. For the last 3 consecutive years, we have exceeded the performance measures required by the South Carolina Department of Adult Education, and we recently won 5 achievement awards for our good work. Our students, as you heard earlier in the proclamation, go to college, enter continuing education, training, and apprenticeship programs, join the military, and enter the job market. They change their lives and the lives of their families. So one by one, we're reversing the cycle of illiteracy and poverty and making the community a better place for all of us. Thank you again for taking the time to listen, and thank you for your support. And like you say, please keep it coming. We need it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do have another proclamation that came in late, so it's on the table but not on the agenda.
That is the Low Country on the table.
Correct.
Jennifer Hightower, is she here?
She's coming.
Madam Clerk?
Whereas Low Country on the Table was created with the intent of fostering greater appreciation of different points of view through open-ended conversations over food. And whereas the Library Foundation of the Low Country is organizing Low Country on the Table for the benefit of all citizens of the city of North Charleston, as well as to residents beyond in Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley counties. And whereas the Library Foundation of the Low Country will summarize the conversations held during the Low Country on the Table and make that summary available to all as a public service. And whereas the Library Foundation of the Low Country will provide funding for the best ideas that arise as a result of the conversations encouraged by Low Country on the Table. And whereas Low Country on the Table will be held on October 4th, 2018, to encourage civic engagement and sharing of perspectives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, R. Keith Summey, Mayor of the City of North Charleston, do hereby proclaim October 4th, 2018 as Low Country on the Table Day in the City of North Charleston and encourage all to participate wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I was just reading through the first line she was saying is inviting conversation with food. And I think that's one of the great points, even when we sit around, how could it be better without food involved? And this is the first I've heard of it. And maybe you can expand and tell us more about it, if you please.
Yes, sir. Well, good evening, Council. Mayor Summey, thank you guys so much for this. It means a lot. On behalf of the On the Table Advisory Committee, again, many thanks for what you are doing. I'm not sure how much any of you may know about On the Table. Maybe you've seen one of the billboards on 26 that say, sit down and speak up. Or there's been some social media presence that's Your Voice Matters. But it's a regional event. Again, October the 4th, facilitated through the Library Foundation of the Low Country. It's a citizen-driven process to identify issues and suggest solutions through conversations over food. There is no agenda. It's an opportunity for our community to come together and talk about issues that are important to them, what makes us great as a community, maybe what doesn't make us so great, and how do we make a change. We want everyone to participate. We want all voices heard. Again, there's going to be a report at the end based upon surveys that participants complete, and that will allow the foundation to work with elected officials and community leaders and set their priorities. To date, this is a really exciting number. We have about 250 tables, but 2,000 participants. So it's not too late. We're a week out. You can still sign up, lowcountryonthetable.org, and we just would encourage you to do that. And again, Council, Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Please continue with the printed agenda.
Yes, sir. Item 1 is a request to approve the minutes from the September 18th, 2018 City Council meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Working meeting.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summey?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 2 is the final reading of an ordinance to rezone the property at 5638 North Red Avenue, Charleston County, TMS 473-16-00034, from B1 Limited Business to B2 General Business in Council District 8.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a second?
I second it.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
While I don't want to take much time to belabor what we extensively went through last week on this matter, you and I have spoken on this, and I think profoundly after what I've...
Wrong one.
My apologies, excuse me.
You're forgiven. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. This one died. Item 3 is the final reading of an ordinance rezoning the property addressed as 7650 Dorchester Road, Charleston County, TMS 39700, Lot 865, from B2 General Business to R2 Multifamily Residential, and concurrently amend the comprehensive plan future land use map for the same parcel, changing it from neighborhood commercial to multifamily residential in Council District 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Continuing from where I left off, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. We've spoken on this matter in group form and individually, and I want to say that I've done further research. And I think one thing profoundly tonight that comes to my attention as a investor, realtor, and more so from Mr. Erica Wright sitting here in this crowd from the Chamber of Commerce. I've had extensive conversation with her over some of the future plans for this county and tri-county area. As I stated last week, this situation, we had various thoughts on it. Traffic, affordable housing, attainable housing, whatever class you want to give it. And my positions were that, and reasonings for not supporting this were merely based on a comp plan that was drafted 10 years ago. And after careful review and much analysis and consideration of change, which is inevitable in all situations and in life, drastic things have occurred in this Tri-County area, and especially in North Charleston. One being housing. One being we are the #1 city for where people now want to come live, shop, and play. I cannot continue on my position from last week, seeing this property as potentially sitting there to be nothing and or being something that the community may not desire in the future. While this has not been an easy decision, my choice tonight is I'm going to support this based on the high demand and need for housing, and merely because of the unknown and the belief that regardless of what comes in the future, we will be hearing something being objected to anyway. So I do support this matter.
Mayor Summy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Summy, we said a lot of things last week about the traffic, about affordable housing, about all of those things. And I'm under the impression that there's probably one link missing in all of this. And it has to do with the collaboration between that community, those people who are homeowners, and this developer. As I listened to all of the information, and again, we always talk back and forth about things, I wanted that collaboration to happen so that we can have a win-win situation for the developer and that community. Conversation is so important. Since we're going to change the comprehensive plan, we're getting into our new comprehensive plan very soon, but since we're going to change it at this point, I would hope that this developer would take the opportunity to speak with the homeowners in that HOA. We all know that the developer and the president of HOA are very, very contributory people in our communities. And I think if that conversation would happen, then we'd have a win-win situation for everybody here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Not to beleaguer the point, but last week I too voted against this particular change in the zoning. I have gone back and done some research, as has Mr. Olds, And, basically in my mind, it comes down to two things, and that's the infrastructure and the traffic versus affordable housing. And given the total number of units in this particular case, I think the need for affordable housing outweighs the infrastructure issues. So I too will be supporting this tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just to address Ms. Jamison's point, I've already taken the initiative to create a meeting with Mr. Evans and Ms. Jorinda, the HOA president, and she's agreed that he could come to the next Forest Hills 1 community meeting, I guess, to talk about other concerns they may have.
Very good. Any other comments? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
No.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries 10-1.
You didn't call Mr.
Thank you very much.
Who did I miss? I thought you were saying, did I miss someone, Ms. Jamison?
I didn't hear Mr. King's.
Yeah, he said aye.
Okay.
Next item.
Item 4 is the final reading of an ordinance amending a portion of the Heap Tract McCune PD Plan Development District, Dorchester County, TMS 163-00031, to make minor changes to the parking space dimensional requirements.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have taken or had an opportunity to speak with the developer this past week. Last week I made a point to vote against this particular issue because in my mind changing the parking would allow for additional units. I have been assured that that's not the case and the number of units is not changing based on the size of the parking lot. And actually the parking is really being changed to accommodate some trees that are there. In addition, the builder has agreed to meet with the community to be better citizens and to get out in front of the construction and try to pass off what their vision is going to be. So I will be changing my vote on this one as well.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? Hearing none, the clerk, please call the roll.
You ready? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion to approve carries unanimously. Item 5 is the final reading and a report for an ordinance adopting a bill to be entitled an annexation ordinance of the City of North Charleston, annexing an area known as 52X in Charleston County, TMS numbers 4120200, lots 19 and 53 in Council District 5.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Need a report from Dirk.
Mr. Dirk, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the petition pending before you this evening shows the signatures of 100% of the freehold property owners and 100% of the assessed value. The records of the auditor and assessor have been checked, and the petition is appropriate for adoption this evening, should you so desire.
Thank you. We've had a motion and a second.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion to approve carries unanimously. Item 6 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary and appropriate to grant a drainage easement on city property identified as TMS 471-13-00274 in favor of the adjacent property identified as TMS number 471-13, Lot 273, contingent on the approval by Charleston County.
Motion? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion to approve carries unanimously for first reading. Item 7 is the first reading of an ordinance amending the budget ordinance as adopted on June 8th, 2017, bearing ordinance number 2017-037.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? We're glad to have our finance director back with us in full speed after his heart surgery. Y'all be gentle on him. He's gonna get to be an old man. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds? Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Mayor Summy,
Yes, ma'am.
may we take items 8 through 13, title only?
Without objection, yes, we will.
Item 8 is a resolution to approve the proposal award for lease purchase financing. Number 9 is a resolution authorizing the city to apply for the Justice Assistance Grant from the United States Department of Justice in the amount of $103,113 to provide law enforcement equipment to the City of North Charleston Police Department and the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. Number 10 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an area lighting agreement with SCE&G for Patriot Boulevard from Ashley Phosphate Road to Dorchester Road. Number 11 is a resolution accepting a 20-foot drainage easement off of Inner Loop Alley in Oak Terrace Preserve. 12 is a resolution accepting new drainage easements as shown on the plat titled Easement Plat Showing 10-Foot Drainage Easement Across TMS 40809, lots 183 through 192, 40809, lot 194, 196 through 201, and TMS number 40809, lot 203 and 250 through 269, and authorizing as necessary acquisition through eminent domain of easements on certain properties in the Ashley Villas neighborhood. And 13 is a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept the donation of 12.326 acres of real property located in Wellborn Village off Radisson Lane in Council District 4.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on any of these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Aye. Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 14 is a request to approve the bid award for East Montague grounds maintenance to the lowest, most responsible bidder, the Greenery of Charleston LLC, in the amount of $77,113.60.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And item 15 is a request to appoint and reappoint all those people to the Board of Appeals, the Board of Grievance Appeals.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Ms. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson?
Aye.
Mr. Olds?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Skipper?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And we have 2 requests to address council tonight.
Remind you that you have 3 minutes. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks. First, we have Ms. Erica Wright.
They actually asked to go in the other order if Mr.
Oh,
Gunn,
okay, I'm
if
sorry.
Mr. Gunn could speak
Mr.
first.
Anton Gunn. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. My name is, excuse me, my name is Anton Gunn, and I live at 191 Gazania Way in West Ashley. And I serve as the Chief Diversity Officer and Director of Community Health Innovation at MUSC Health System. I've been here about 4.5 years. And I'm here today to represent MUSC and talk to you a little bit about my concern of the crisis around housing in our region. As you know, crisis is a big word, and I don't like to use it lightly. But since 2010, region-wide, we have some unprecedented changes happening in our community. I know all of you are very well aware of it. Median home sales prices are up 27% since 2010. Rent prices are up 49% since 2010. Now, we do the best job as possible at MUSC. We have about 14,000 employees. Many of them live right in the city of North Charleston. They live all across the region. And we do our best job to attract the best talent and keep the best talent here. And so we pay competitive wages. But our wages are not able to keep up with the cost of housing. As a matter of fact, sometimes, in many cases, the cost of housing has exceeded wages by double. And so this puts us in a difficult situation where we really have a supply and demand problem. We have a lot of people who are demanding housing. The number of households have grown in this region precipitously over the last 12 years, and because of that, more people want great places to live, just like you just had a discussion about that challenge. But however, we don't have enough houses. We haven't permitted enough in comparison to what the demand is in the region. And so that means the demand of housing continues to outpace the number of houses that we have. This puts a particular challenge for us as an employer, as an organization. I'd like to share with you a couple quick stories. Just 2 weeks ago, we were in a conversation with a very high-level, high-quality clinician, a physician to be exact, who we were trying to attract and recruit to MUSC to work to help us to deliver care to patients. This clinician actually is originally from the Lowcountry. She grew up in St. Stephen's and wanted to be back closer to home. We did everything in our power to accommodate every request that she had, and it came down fundamentally to where she lived currently and the cost of housing that she paid where she lived in comparison to this market. She didn't feel like the move would be in the best interest of herself and her family. We lost a talented person in our community. A second example is that we attracted some oncology nurses to work at our Hollings Cancer Center. We have a nationally designated cancer center in Hollings. These clinicians, these nurses, actually, where they worked before was in their community and in another state. And they wanted to come here, and they wanted to be near where they work, but they couldn't find affordable housing anywhere around where they work. So they had to work, find a place to live a long way away. And it cost them a lot of money. So we got to find a way to do something about it, and I hope you can work with the chamber to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I hate this thing.
All right, Erica Wright.
Mayor Summy, members of council, I'm Erica Wright, and I reside at 8008 Regency Elm Drive in North Charleston. I am here today to represent the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce and to underscore with statistics some things that Anton shared, and then to request a partnership. This is something that we can't tackle alone, and we can't look at you to say tackle it. This is something that we have to do together. And so we want to be able to work with you. But essentially, last year, our region added 38 net new people to our population. And there's a lot of talk about these are people who are relocating here. 10 of those were our own kids and grandkids. Those are births here in the region. And so that averages out to about 2% growth rate year over year. And we have been growing consistently at 2% for decades now. And so it has been steady growth, not just an explosion of growth like we tend to hear. And so our economy is booming, and so people do want to live here. And like me, we want to be able to stay here. And so as our population continues to grow, demand for housing will continue to grow. And I do know that I'm preaching to the choir here. So based on population projections, we as a region will need more than 112,000 new housing units by 2030. And that breaks down to 7,500 units each year. The problem, and Anton alluded to it, is as a region, we have not permitted that much since 2006. Hence supply not keeping up with demand. Of that 7,500 that we need to permit within the Tri-County area, we need about half of that, 3,600, to be for those individuals or those households who make less than $50,000 a year. So we're talking about an opportunity for everyone in this region to have home. We're talking about housing equity now. And so we understand that there are some changes that we can possibly do to help the market generate additional housing dwelling units. And we want to extend ourselves in partnership. Maybe there's some things that we can do with state funding. And we're just looking to extend ourselves as a partner with your staff and with you. So I'm happy to reach out to you in the next few weeks to see what we can do. And this is a regional conversation. It's not lost on me that North Charleston is an affordable place to live and that you care deeply. I see it all the time about housing attainability. This is a conversation we as a chamber are trying to have regionally, not just in one place. One place can't be the only affordable place. It's not fair. The entire region needs to be. And so I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the body? Hearing nothing, meeting's adjourned.
Staying real quiet.